Hello and welcome to today's Principal Turn and Talk. Today we are on location at Charles Hart Middle School with the one and only, I'm a super fan of this amazing woman next to me. In all seriousness, she's fantastic, and I'm so excited for you to have the opportunity to learn more about her and her insights and her experience and expertise. I am sitting next to Charlette Butler-Strickland. She has a heart for children. She has been working with DC Public Schools, dedicated to our nation's capital students and families and staff for so many years, and we are going to learn more today about the topic of working with first-year principals, building capacity of our schools, and continuing to make a track record of success for our students and all the work that we do. So, as we get started, can you tell everybody who is Charlette Butler-Strickland, and also tell us about this amazing school?
I'm a lady from North Carolina who has Southern roots that are really grounded in about caring for people, caring for others, and doing everything that you can to make the place, the world, the community that you're in a better place. This is year 24 for me in education. Yes. This is I just finished the 10th year here at Hart Middle School as the principal. Prior to coming to Hart, I was an assistant principal at the now Jackson Reed High School, and so I was there for 5 years, and so this is moving into my 16th year with DC Public Schools. As far as it relates to me, my core values have always guided me, led me, encouraged me, and pushed me to push others. One of my core values is joy. I believe that wherever you work, wherever you serve, whatever you do, you have to do it with joy. And if it doesn't make you happy, then that's when you have to start thinking about doing other things. So I love making people happy. I love to have fun. That's just a part of my core value. And then the other one is just like high expectations for all. I really feel like my debt to the society, to the world, my contribution is to just make sure that whoever I encounter, whatever place I go to, I leave it better than I received it.
You are definitely doing that. Every time I get to hear Charlette speak, I'm always so inspired, always so intrigued, always so motivated to continue in my leadership journey. She is the real deal. Exactly what you see is what you experience. So this joy factor, this love factor, this high expectations, and this truly making a difference for her community is just outstanding. So you can get her autograph later, everybody. But as you can see, again, I'm fangirling over here. Today, again, we are going to talk about mentoring first-year principals. Charlette and I are both in the NAESP certification program for being a principal mentor, and we're going to talk about some of our insights and share some of our takeaways, and we're looking forward to that. First, let me just tell you a little bit more about NAESP, which stands for the National Association for Elementary School Principals, which serves elementary and middle school level principals. They outline pillars, practices, and priorities for effective principals. And this is a theory of leadership grounded upon three primary pillars: building culture, so you'll hear us make reference to that today, optimizing systems, and empowering people. Within these three pillars, there are also practices, right? Or the how, such as we build culture by establishing shared values and vision. And we empower people by supporting the academic, social, and emotional and physical needs of our children and staff. And we optimize systems by managing talent and resources to maximize effective teaching and learning. So grounding both these pillars and practices are the leadership priorities. This theory emphasizes such as diversity, equity, and inclusion, which we know are all important. And as DC Public Schools educators, we believe in being anti-racist, whole child educators. We also believe in the priority of positive relationships, high expectations, as Charlette just mentioned, and of course, supporting the well-being through mediums of joy and love and laughter and just doing the work in team, right? So, Charlette, you and I both know that being a school principal is beautiful work, but it's also very complicated.
It is.
It can also feel lonely at times, which is why having a support network is a non-negotiable. So, in your opinion, what value does principal mentorship afford first-year principals? Take it back to when you first started.
So, it is what you said. It's a lonely seat. But what makes us powerful is not being lonely, understanding that somebody else had a first year.
Yeah.
And if somebody else had a first year, so let me talk to somebody else who had a first year.
Right.
So that you're learning from other people, learning from their mistakes, but learning from their wisdom as well. I am just grateful for the people who have mentored me along the way. And if it wasn't for those mentor relationships, I would not be, still wouldn't be a principal.
Right.
So it's very important. It's important because I can go home and talk to my husband, who's an educator, but he doesn't know what it is to be a principal.
No, ma'am.
My APs, I have 3 of them, but they don't know what it takes to be a principal. And so the only person that can really coach you and support you is somebody who's sat in that chair.
Yeah.
So it's very powerful. It is very necessary to be able to sustain in this work, is collaborating, leaning on, and learning from people who sit in the same seat as you.
So true,
Oh, yeah.
so true. Now, this was my first year being a principal partner or principal mentor. This is my 5th year as principal, but first time again as a mentor, and it was a beautiful experience. Just to be able to empathize, to be able to share lessons that I've learned along the way, lessons that I learned and some lessons that I didn't learn or I'm still learning. You know, the mistakes, right? So you want to be vulnerable with first year principals to let them know that it's okay. You know, you're not going to answer every request, you know, in the right way. You're going to sometimes fumble the ball, right? But it is that we can move forward and just keep showing up. Keep showing up. Now, you've also, just before I go to the second question, you've mentored quite a few first year principals in your tenure. Can you talk just a little bit about, you know, that?
The key thing is what you already said, transparency. I think we don't do anyone we're supporting any justice without revealing to them how hard this is. I made mistakes. So saying that also allows for really authentic collaboration and conversation, because if they see you as this expert that knows how to do everything perfectly, they're not going to want to be vulnerable.
Right.
But when you open up that door to say, hey, my first year, my second year, my third year, I struggle with this, then it allows them to get comfortable and understand, like, okay, this is normal. It is okay.
Yes.
And so that's kind of how I mentor. I'm very transparent. I'm very honest. I'm very open. And I push them to ask questions. And I always say, well, okay, when or if this happens to you, seeing and hearing my experience, what are you going to do differently? Inviting them into that conversation, like creating low stakes opportunity for them to feel supported, but then also for them to bounce ideas off of you. That's really what's the most powerful.
So powerful. I like how you said, like, a low stakes environment, because a mentor is different than an evaluator, right? Like, we are not the superintendent. It is a very safe space that we're building with our principal partners. And so I love how you really called that out. Speaking of first year principals, and again, your experience of mentoring so many over the years, what do you think are some of the essential competencies that first year principals, you know, need to know and understand as they commence their leadership journey?
Everything about school leadership has very little to do about the kids, but everything to do with the adults, because they are the ones doing the work. They're the ones in the classroom with the kids. They're the ones maintaining the cleanliness of the building. They're the ones maintaining the climate and culture. And I'm a firm believer is you have to be able to support, because I don't like to use the word manage, adults. And so when you're dealing with adults, that's a different kind of work, where you have to keep that human hat on and that care hat on and that people hat on as you move throughout and you lead and support. And stay grounded in that, because I think sometimes we get lost in the fact of, well, I need you to do this, this, but I haven't even asked you, are you okay? Is there anything that I can support you with? Like, it's important to get to know the people that you're supporting, so that you know how to push, and then you know how to let me take away. And so the biggest thing with being a leader is understanding the adult work and the adult care that has to go on, because you got to get them to, one, buy into your vision, but then be able to walk that vision. And we all know, if people don't trust or believe in you, they're not walking your vision. So how do you bring people along with love and understanding? We all in this together. So
I love that. And it reminds me of, I believe Maya Angelou said this, people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yep.
You know, and your paradigm shift, you know, it's not just about titles, right? It's not like I'm the principal, do this because I said so, I'm the manager, it's your evaluation, all those types of things. That doesn't compel people to, like you said, to operate in the sense of our shared vision of what we're building together. And you being here at this beautiful school for the last 10 years, right? That's a testament to you collaborating and co-building, co-constructing something that everyone buys into. And that's because you clearly take time for the relationships to do so. I think that I agree with you 100%. Like, that is the bulk of the work.
It is.
People, you know, personnel, working with everyone. I like to use the example of one moment, you know, we have open door policy, or I call it screen door policy. You know, so my door's open, you can come in, but if it's closed, that means I might be working on something. But one day, you know, a staff member comes in and says, hey, you know, I just got diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
So the level of energy that goes into that conversation is different than when she stepped out, maybe 5-10 minutes later, another staff member came in, I just found out I'm pregnant, right?
Yeah.
So then my energy has to change and match that level of excitement, whereas I just had a really hard conversation with a staff member not knowing what, you know, the next steps of after her diagnosis are going to be. You know, and so I think in our principal preparation programs, right, it's important to, talk about the very technical pieces of how do you run a budget, right? How do you hire? How do you retain staff? Teaching and learning, obviously, which is the bread and butter of what we do in schools. But also, how do you just interact with people?
Absolutely.
You know, how do you have authentic, like you said, relationships and co-construct something really beautiful? So with that said, you know, again, with your experience and expertise of being a principal mentor all these years, what advice do you have for principal mentors who may be just getting started, like someone like myself, or those who may watch our Turn and Talk?
It's very valuable when you sit down or with the person that you're mentoring and allow them to coach you. So, and I actually tried it out this year with my mentee, and I would say, well, hey, I'm struggling with this situation with the teacher. What are you thinking?
Wow.
And then you allow them, because that only when you work through stuff or you're helping somebody work through stuff, it allows you to work through your own stuff at the same time.
Yes.
But it also gives people value to say that if I'm going through something and I trust you enough to be vulnerable with you, it really opens up that communication.
Yeah.
So anybody who's mentoring, this is not the time to be the, I guess they say, the sage on the stage.
Yes.
You know, it is not about showing off all of your accolades and your perfections. It is really about getting them to see all the work that goes into thinking through challenging situations. So that's kind of important. So be open, be authentic, be vulnerable, but also at the same time be in the learner stance as well. So I think, you know, what I've been so grateful with people that I've mentored is what I learned from them. So, and understanding like, hey, you know, I don't know everything at all. But, you know, as they begin to talk about whatever they do, well, this is not, okay, let me take some notes because this sounds great. So be open as a mentor to learn from the people you're mentoring. I think that's powerful as well. Very important.
Charlette, you just dropped the mic on that, okay? She said, don't be the sage on the stage, and said, look to see how you can learn from your mentee as well. That's the goal, right? Like we always should be curious and inquisitive about life, and we can learn something from everyone. I like this Chinese proverb that says, take a feather from every passing goose. I might be messing up the quote a little bit, but follow no one completely. But basically, we can learn something from everyone.
Absolutely.
Regardless of role, title, we learn so much from our students as well.
Yes.
Woo.
Yes.
Our students teach us. They teach us
Every
patience.
day. Yes.
They teach us innovation. They're just so beautiful and brilliant. And so I love how you highlighted that as one of the most important things to start with. Don't think that you know it all.
Yep.
Instead, have a learner orientation. So again, you've dropped the mic in many moments on today's Turn and Talk. But Charlette, before we conclude, are there any closing thoughts that you have or words of advice as it relates to mentoring first-year principals?
Principals, especially first-year principals, understand your strength comes from your network. your first year, when you get those keys, that is not the year to go in the office and close your door. It is definitely the year to reach out and connect. I say this all the time. I have the dopest principal network. And so because of that, we mentor each other. And keeping those kind of relationships throughout your career are very vital. Because if I have a question, so look, I'll tell you, anything about financial literacy, I'm gonna go to her. So, and then just knowing who has something that you can learn from, and being open and just watching other people and say, ooh, they know this. Let me ask them about this. But it is just that. It is exactly what you said, taking a feather from every passing goose and being open to give and to share is what's powerful and important. And that's how we continue to sustain and grow leaders, is by the transparency, the building of relationships, and understanding that just always being a learner.
I love it. I love it. Well, Charlette, thank you so much for today's conversation. I also, again, want to just give you your flowers because of your amazing leadership, your amazing heart, your willingness to always, like you just said, share what you know with such authenticity, with such love and care and kindness. So I salute you as Principal Leader Extraordinaire. I'm glad we had the opportunity to share with others insights that we have learned in mentoring first-year principals and just adding more value to our field, our industry of education that we love. Thanks again for having me here at the home of the Jets. We're in the library. I'm feeling inspired to read for the rest of the afternoon. But thank you again for joining everybody, and thank you, Charlette.
And thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. All right, bye now.